bring in Professor Irvin Kinnes from the Centre of Criminology at the University of Cape Town. A very good afternoon to you, Professor. I mean, it's not surprising because we have had instances of police officers that are caught in illegal activities, but they are supposed to be protecting the public. So what does the latest say about the state of policing in South Africa at the moment?
Good afternoon, Rafiwa, and good afternoon to your viewers. I think this is disappointing that members of the South African Police Service make themselves guilty of such blatant acts of corruption. And the concerning thing is that it appears to, publicly at least, be increasing. And as members become involved in criminality, the police as an institution increasingly will lose legitimacy in the eyes of the public. Already, the Afrobarometer public opinion surveys indicate that only about 26% of the public trust the police. And so this further erodes the confidence that the public has in the police to report crime. And that does not spell well for any emerging and developing democracy such as ours.
And that's quite
unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's quite unfortunate, Prof, because that public confidence that worsens in the public means that many people or citizens within South Africa are going to either solve crime themselves or are just going to let perpetrators get away with the crime because they've become despondent to the reaction or non-reaction or participation by police in criminal activities. And that is also something that bodes big trouble for what is supposed to be a safe country.
I completely agree with you. If one looks at the number of public complaints against the police for the last financial year, it was about 11,060 public service complaints against the police. As an indicator, if you take the number of civil claims against the police, which is in the region of 13,000 claims, SAPS for the last financial year has contingent liabilities of about 67 billion rand and an outstanding number of 42,000 civil complaints, totaling about 12 billion in contingent liabilities. It paints a picture about the SAPS with over 1,169 disciplinary cases last year. You have 1,900 resignations from the SAPS. You have 1,362 resignations, and then a similar amount of disciplinary hearings. So all of this paints a picture about how it's being managed. And unfortunately, the National Commissioner and his team must buckle down on discipline within the SAPS. And that really means the National Commissioner taking the personal responsibility for making sure that discipline is effected within the police. There has to be consequences for police criminality, for police officers losing their firearms or reporting it stolen, and so forth and so on, ought to be dealt with in a manner that they know that there are consequences for them becoming involved in criminality. This cannot go on forever within the SAPS. It will break down the levels of legitimacy. People don't trust the police as is. And if you remember, the apartheid police force lost legitimacy because it started taking on political instructions of the old National Party government. In the eyes of the communities that it was meant to police, it had no legitimacy. And more than that, the South African Police Service is a representative of the state. And so people associate the police, or the public police at least, with the government. And so if things go wrong, if the police don't deal with their complaints, if they become involved in criminality, people and the public blame the government. And so this is something that must be tackled as a matter of urgency so that police officers know when they take that oath that they are bound by the oath that they take and the oath of allegiance to the Constitution. Thank you, Ipid.
Yeah, and that's very important because you are saying that it needs to be dealt with immediate effect, and the Commissioner needs to be standing up and taking responsibility. But in terms of cleaning up the police force, Prof, what are some of the immediate steps that could be taken? We do understand that one of those police officers that has been arrested was already being investigated for another crime. So one wonders about the level of oversight that currently exists, and if the right kind of screening is happening to those that commit themselves to joining the South African Police Service. Do we have a problem when it comes to oversight and screening, and should that be one of the things that are top of mind when we look at cleaning up the force?
I think one of the better proposals is to do public integrity testing processes within the SAPS nationally, provincially, and particularly at station level, because that's the basic unit of crime fighting. Public integrity testing measures would include measures from the state in partnership with the private sector and the public. And for that, you could easily advertise the names of the people that you are vetting publicly, and ask members of the public to come forward through an independent hotline managed by an independent organization, such as Corruption Watch, for instance, that
It would appear that we have lost Professor Irvin Kinnes there from UCT Centre of Criminology. Now, he's just speaking about the arrest of police officers who have engaged in criminal activity and really what needs to be done to clean up the police force in South Africa.